I don't think something's quite right here. Ah, much better. This is film critic Manny Farber on the 1943 film For Who the Bell Tolls. I am not sure how much the picture's lack of effect is the result of its Technicolor. I myself find it difficult to take seriously a movie made in Technicolor. Profundity seems out of key with the carnival spirit of color, which is always gay and bright, mask-like, without substance. Nor am I sure how much of the film's stiffness and unmaneuverability is the product of Technicolor. The New Republic, July 19th, 1944. Just a month and a half after D-Day. Technicolor is a family of color motion picture processes. The first version, Process 1, was introduced in 1916, with improved versions following over the next several decades. It gained major traction in the 1930s in conjunction with a deal from Walt Disney Studios, in which their short films were beginning to overshadow the feature films they played before. Marion C. Cooper, producer of RKO Radio Pictures and director of King Kong from 1933, saw one of the cartoons and stated he never wanted to make a black and white picture ever again. The company didn't take off, though, because like many industries during the 1930s, it was bloodied by the Great Depression. It wasn't until the later 30s this experiment was deemed a success, as the studios needed a shot to the arm to aid their regressing income. Technicolor was at the top of their game in the 1940s and 50s, eventually falling out of favor with the studios due to expensive costs and better technology becoming widely available. It spread out to other ideas in the 1960s, eventually becoming more and more obsolete. The Godfather Part 2 was one of the last American films to use it in 1974. Now, before I get to the review, let me get to the drink I'm drinking so that I can talk in front of a camera. The drink this week is simply grapefruit juice. Now, grapefruit is a special fruit because it is the only fruit that I know of which has its own special spoon, which you can eat with grapefruit. A special spoon. And that's kind of crazy to me. I remember when I was a kid and my mom was like, "Did you know that this grapefruit has its own special spoon?" And I was like, wow. So then I had it and I was like, all right, this isn't that good, but I appreciate that it's got its own brand. It's got its own thing or whatever. So I'm drinking grapefruit juice. It's really not bad. Good sugar. I like sugar. A vivid reimagining of the classic The Wizard of Oz, Wicked spotlights the untold stories of Oz's most famous or infamous characters, namely the Wicked Witch of the West and her unlikely friend, Glinda the Good Witch. The show follows greenskin star Elphaba from birth to college and through the life-changing events which eventually label her Wicked, introducing spoiled rich girl Glinda, local prince and heartthrob Fiero, and even the Wizard of Oz himself, a troubled man very unlike the one you may remember. Now, I have to admit, I came into this film expecting to be disappointed by it. I expected it for one reason that I saw in the trailer, and that is the color grading of the film. I hate the desaturation of film in the modern era, mostly because it takes away an attempt to be real and replaces it with an attempt to be realistic. It's boring, it's ugly, it lacks genuine passion. It reminds me of my generation's inability to share their feelings and instead witting around them in order to look intelligent. Can you tell I don't like modern color grading? I don't like modern color grading, but I have to call it like it is. This film is anything but dispassionate. From the set design to the choreography to the music, it was clearly made with a genuine love of the source material. It had its own individual style, with dancers mechanically starting and stopping in cute little vignettes that I thought were very cute little vignettes. The practical sets were a glorious addition to the film. The scenery made it feel like the set was just as much of a character as anybody else. I was trepidatious when Ariana Grande was cast in the film, mostly because she hasn't been in a good movie before, and her music isn't exactly my cup of tea creatively, but I thought she was pretty good here. Her singing voice is her greatest strength, offering enough power to keep up with, and maybe more than keep up with, the rest of the film. Variability was more difficult to come by, though. I felt that maybe her emotions weren't fully realized whenever she was in the midst of her musical performances. Still, she's naturally charismatic, and I think if there's a role she was going to play in Hollywood, it would be this exact role at this exact time. She had good comedic timing, and you could clearly tell she was comfortable with the performance aspect of it all. Cynthia Erivo was also great in the role, a notch or two over Ariana Grande, but not blowing my socks off in any way. She has a wonderful voice, just like Grande's, but she's more actor-forward in her roles, as in, she's able to express her emotions a lot better during the musical performances. I was able to see the changing character throughout the film as she expressed it, and I think while she was good as the timid character at the beginning, she was clearly casted for the courageous and confident character that she became at the end of the film. The writing, which is based on the play, so not really anything new here, was solid, if still containing a little bit of that pop musical simplicity. I don't mind it because I've grown to like musical theater, even with its unbearable cringe sometimes, but I have yearned at time to time for a little less of a digestible story. The hook is what's really exciting here, and while the story meanders from time to time, it's got enough charm to keep the engine rolling to a certain extent. But the most mediocre thing about this movie has to be the direction. It's got John Chu in the chair, an understandable decision considering he's got experience with musicals in the past, like In the Heights previously. He's a good example of someone who does well in a system of Hollywood I don't necessarily respect. He's given projects, he does his job, he's a good worker for the studio. I don't see much authorship over his films, he doesn't have a very distinctive style, and nothing about the work he does pushes the boundaries of cinema. Now, I want to be specific here. Nothing he does even tries to push the boundaries of cinema. It's a lack of ambition that's apparent this whole weekend with Gladiator 2, and it's the reason why I'm so hot and bothered whenever people try to mention it in the same breath as Barbenheimer. But despite that, I still found many elements of this film to be charming. It absolutely exceeded my expectations, and the theatricality was quite powerful at times. The music and the world were handled with extreme care, and I think that's inevitably why it's going to resonate with people over the coming weeks and months. While I had significant issues with the direction, this was not the bad for cinema kind of dispassionate project that I expected it would be. I think in many ways its success will keep the industry going, semi-ethically. I'm going to give this film a crush, and I also think you should crush it in life. Subscribe or don't, I don't really care, not a big deal to me, but I just hope the best for you, and I hope that you hope the best for me, and let's all come together and enjoy the movies, because they might not be around for much longer, because the cinema industry is dying, and we're all going to die one day. Actually, I had a panic attack in the middle of this movie. I went to the bathroom, and I just remembered that I was going to die one day. And then I was like, oh my god, it's going to be nothing, and there'll be nobody, and you won't exist. And then I was like, why are you thinking about this now in the middle of Wicked? And I have yet to unveil that mystery. But anyway, cheers to you, and I hope you do well in life.